Good choice.
I have your stuff.
This none in
Yeah.
here? Okay. It's okay. I stopped swimming because it was the same season as middle school, and I didn't go to middle school, and so I swam freshman year, and then I just went to volleyball. I don't know, I kind of lost swimming or something. I swam, my parents put me in competitive swimming when I was like kindergarten. I did like preschool, junior, I did like lessons, and then I was like in the swim club. So it was just kind of,
I used to be part of that.
so it was just like what I did.
So that's what I was curious.
It was just like,
Anyone down Vienna was still there? Kyle, I don't know, Craig went out and Kyle and Craig, they were here. She was Violet.
yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
So I didn't like, it was kind of just what I did, and then I was like really like volleyball, so I started volleyball, and now they're not seasons anymore, but
They're
it's
all
like,
volleyball, so it's great.
I just, so I'm really volleyball.
Yeah, that's
And then now for this season I found something to do, so I do
So we
cheer.
stand for the Pledge of
But it's
Allegiance,
not on my jacket.
please.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do we have any citizen questions regarding tonight's agenda? Seeing that there is none, call the meeting to order at 6:36. Take roll call. Trustee Meadows.
Here.
Trustee Myers.
Here.
Trustee Stevens.
Here.
Trustee Stewart.
Here.
Trustee Thomas.
Here.
Trustee Wildy.
Here.
And President Garrett here. Under excellent education, we have new meat cut scores.
So I gave you a copy of the slideshow I'm getting ready to show you, and I also gave you a packet of some box plots, and I'll explain that as we get through the presentation. So what I'm going to present to you is a presentation that was actually created by the Oakland County Intermediate School District. And they did a really good job of deciding to be proactive and telling their parents and their community ahead of time of what's getting ready to happen with the new cut scores as we get our 2011 meat scores back. So my contact at the ISD, Naomi Norman, forwarded this to all of the county curriculum leaders and suggested that we share it with our boards and community. So each year the students in grades 3 through 9 take the meat, and in 11th grade in the spring they take the MME and ACT along with the work keys. Now their ACT and MME scores and their work keys combined to give them their MME score. So the purpose of these tests is to give us something specific to gauge our improvement and our achievement on. And the cut score is the level at which the students are deemed proficient. There's a specific score that they have to meet in order to be proficient. Now previously in the past, these scores were kind of low in order to be proficient. If we look at the NAEP, each state's cut score is presented compared to the NAEP Basic. NAEP is a national reading and math test. So the national math test, we're on the first page. Michigan is nowhere on this first page. We go to the second page, there's Michigan almost at the bottom for their cut scores. They're below the NAEP proficient, or the NAEP basic level. And in 8th grade, they're also below the NAEP basic level. We go to reading, same thing, not even on the first page. There's Michigan almost at the bottom on grade 4 reading, pretty close to the bottom on grade 8 reading. So in 2014-15, we're going to be tested with a new test, and it's going to be assessing the Common Core. And so there's going to be more of a national look at states, because they're going to be tested over the state curriculum. 43 states, I believe, have adopted this curriculum, and we are right now in the process of transferring over to it. So the Michigan leaders realized that they needed to bump it up a little bit to be comparable nationally. So our old cut scores, in the lighter purple, that is the number that we're proficient in the state of Michigan. They're pretty high. If you look at the 3rd grade, 95%. If you look at the darker purple, that is the new number that will be proficient based on last fall's test scores. So there's a huge drop in the number of proficient students. Now, last year's test scores were still under the old cut scores, so a lot of what I'm showing you is just an example of what will happen this year with this year's test scores. We don't have those back yet. We probably won't get those until later in the winter. So they adopted these new cut scores, and like I said before, on some of the tests they couldn't have answered as few as 40% correctly to pass. Well, in any class, we know that 40% isn't really passing, so they really were pretty low. So Michigan has upped the ante for making the bar higher. So in the short term, like I just showed you, it'll look like there are a lot fewer students proficient, because there really will be a lot fewer students proficient. So across the state, it will scores will really drop. The goal is to match more of the college readiness standards that students will have to start getting ready for to the NAEP scores and align everything. So what we have already done is we've already sent home letters to parents, communication to staff. We sent home the 5 things and the fax letter at conferences. I'm sure you all got a phone call from me telling you it was coming home. And now we are starting the communication to the larger community. So the key message here is we're raising the bar, and there will be a temporary drop in proficiency. So any growth that was made last year will look like significant declines this year. Now, one key we have to remember is that the MEEP is just a snapshot of one day in time of a student's educational career. So we also have to look at district-wide assessments and growth to make sure that we're monitoring our student achievement. So this is an example that Naomi made based on last year's cut scores. If you look at the solid line that says old, those are the old cut scores, and the new dotted line cut scores. The box, the number of districts that are in the middle that fall below the new line are a lot more than that were above in the old. So it's not just a Willow Run thing, it's an everybody thing. All districts are going to have scores below the cut score. Here's another grade with science. There's a huge decline in the science. And 11th grade reading. What I gave you in your packet was a sample of every subject for every grade that is tested. So we're trying to get the word out now as to what's going to happen when we get our scores back and what our AYP will look like in the spring. And if you have any questions or parents ask you questions, please feel free to direct them to us. You know, we want to be honest about what's coming down the pipe. So. This was an interesting quote that is from Mike Flanagan, and I like the bottom part. It says, just like in 1960, the Olympic pole vault champion was 15.4